Welcome to Retire Right TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Paul Roberts. And Paul is president and CEO of Roberts Wealth Management. Paul, how are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm extremely happy to have my wonderful host, Miss Cynthia, back with me. I missed you so much.
And I missed you too.
So happy you're back.
I am so happy to be back with you. I missed you as well, and I love all the information that we talk about every week on the show because you just have so much incredible information to share with the viewing audience. You're so passionate about planning for retirement and making sure that people feel comfortable in those years because that can be often scary without having a plan in place.
That's it. We're expanding minds and changing lives and bringing people the confidence they deserve, and that's why we love what we do every day.
Absolutely. And I know we're going to talk in this segment, Paul, about a very important thing. People in the viewing audience today, they may be wondering, how do they choose the right advisor? Like, what questions should they be asking that person that they're trusting their future with?
That's right. That's the key there is they're trusting someone with, their entire life savings, their entire life's future. And that's a great question to pose right now because I think a lot of people out there are in that mode of feeling really insecure and unsure and having a lot of doubt, in their plan or their lack of a plan or where they're going or what they're doing. And so I think there's a lot of people out there right now really looking, for guidance and information and education and really just looking for who is the person I can trust to take care of me and my family today. So let's start by, I'm quite unusual in the things I come across with sometimes, but first thing I'd say to anybody out there viewing today, when you walk into a financial office or to meet a financial professional, I've always told people all of my success in business comes from a principle my grandfather taught me. It's always never let your brain override your gut, always go with your gut. And that's the first piece of advice. I know it's a simplistic piece, but when you walk into a place or you speak with someone, you're going to get a feeling, right?
Absolutely.
What is that feeling, and what does your gut tell you? Are you feeling good about the atmosphere? Do you feel good about how you're being treated? Do you feel good about the conversation? And if at any time you feel uncomfortable or you don't feel sure of what you're doing or sure of what this person's saying, it's okay to end the meeting, get up and leave.
Sure.
That they're probably not a good fit for you.
Yeah, you should know that feeling right away. On that same vein, Paul, how important is it for someone to be working with a fiduciary?
I think every single retiree in America today should be working with a fiduciary.
Okay.
They should find out who the person they're working with, what are their licenses, what are their obligations to them, right? What are their liabilities and responsibilities to the client? But the whole purpose of fiduciary today is that, first of all, we always legally binded to do what's in the client's best interest, but it's more or less that the fiduciary firms are where you're going to find the holistic planning, okay?
Absolutely.
There's a lot of cookie cutter stuff out there today, right? Do you fit in the risk category A, B, C, or D? Well, then you get portfolio A, B, C, or D, and you're done. Have a great life. Good luck.
One size fits all.
Yeah, one size fits all, and financial planning is so individualized that there's no way, shape, or form to standardize it in that way. And if they are standardizing it in that way, or you feel you're being standardized, you're not getting the full potential that you could out of your planning.
Sure.
But also, fiduciaries, the difference is, we talk to clients all the time when they come in and they start going through the client intake process. They're like, well, everything you're talking to me about, nobody's ever talked to me about. Well, that's a sign. So why don't we just go through a few of those things for our viewers, right?
Sure.
What about, if your advisor has not talked to you, especially in the last few years or currently, about tax forward planning or about future tax hikes, and how are you going to strategically offset those taxes, and how are you going to keep those taxes from minimalizing your income or depleting your portfolio, then you don't have a plan. And
Absolutely.
you might want to look a little bit more.
Yeah.
Tax forward planning is a big one. And another one that we find people just don't have conversations with their advisors, people, is inflation and income planning.
Sure.
If you don't have an income plan, you don't have a retirement plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've saved money, you have a portfolio, that's great. And maybe your portfolio is doing good, maybe your portfolio is not doing good. But even if your portfolio is growing well, or you feel that it's doing good, you still do not have a plan if you don't have a full written income plan. What are the sources of income going to be the rest of your life? How do you sustain that income? How do you sustain that income against hyperinflation that we're seeing today and that we're going to see going forward?
Sure.
How do you sustain that income against higher taxation in the future? Because what a lot of Americans are going to find, and this is why we passionately do what we do and teach every day, is because our heart goes out to all the Americans who don't realize how bad the future taxation and inflation is going to deplete the income and deplete their portfolios going forward.
I think that's important that we talk about right now, Paul, because I think a lot of people were under the assumption that the taxes would change only for a certain percentage of people depending on what their income or their portfolio look like. But what we're seeing could be projections that affects everyone across the board. Would you agree with that?
Yes, and what we've been, one of the good things about working with our firm, one of the things our clients love about us is, I always tell them the key to retiring successfully is how well informed are the people who are informing you, right?
Great point.
And so one of the things our clients love about us is we stay really, really well informed. We try to stay way ahead of everything. We're always researching anything that is happening up on Capitol Hill. I've been looking at, now of course they don't have a complete tax bill at this point, but they have a lot of proposals that they're putting together and a lot of ideas. And all of the current proposals for the tax changes and regulations going forward, politicians like to say, hey, we're here to help the working class people. But I can tell you, I have analyzed their proposals right now. It is not advantageous to the working class people. I think that this tax bill is actually going after the working class people a lot harder than it is the elite class.
Sure.
And people, they hear what the politicians say on television. Oh, well, they're going to go after taxing the rich. Yeah, that's what they say. Read the tax bill. What is it really going to do, and how is it going to affect you and your lives? And I think a lot of lower class and middle class homes have no idea how the future tax changes are going to affect them.
Paul, I agree, because you can only tax the wealthy so much.
That's right.
And you can't expect that class right there to pay all of the deficit that's owed right now. So basically, in order for us to even get up to speed, you have to actually look at every level.
And the wealthy have an advantage that the other classes don't.
Yeah.
The wealthy simply leave. Right? The wealthy pick up and move when you tax them too hard. Look at what's happening in California right now. Look at the exodus leaving California, and it's all due to regulation and taxation. And then when they started talking about this wealth tax in California and taxing everybody above 20 or 25 million in net worth, what do you people with net worth greater than $25 million? It's very simple and very easy for them to move to another state. A middle-class person working paycheck to paycheck doesn't have that ability to just pick up and move their family and move wherever they need to. The wealthy can move to another state, move to another country, move wherever they need to move. The lower middle classes can't do that. And so that's why I have a concern that they're going to be highly targeted with the upcoming tax bills heading our way.
Which completely affects the retirees specifically, because you're looking at people that have their set income, if you will, and they can't take chances with that because they don't have as long to make it up like, let's say, the younger generation.
Exactly. And, they worked their whole life. They saved this amount of money. Well, they're not working. They're not producing income any longer, so they're not adding to the pie. They're in the distribution stage. They're taking money away from that pie, right? So there's only so much there, and you have to figure out how are you going to sustain that and make that last. Well, if they start nailing you with higher taxes on top of the inflation that we're seeing, a lot of people are going to see a drastic change in their lifestyle coming forward.
Absolutely. Well, Paul, we're going to go ahead and open up the phone lines to the viewers at home. Do you agree this is a great time?
It's always a great time.
All right.
So we'll give them an opportunity. For the next 10 viewers who call us right now, what we're going to do is we're going to give you a full-blown comprehensive review of your current situation. Now, what that entitles you to is a full analytics on your current portfolio. We'll bring to the surface what it's costing you to work with your current firm, your current advisory firm. Not just the fees, but the buried fees that you may be unaware of will come to the surface. We'll also give you an idea of your risk tolerance, what type of performance you're getting. Just basically, are you getting the bang for your buck that you deserve and what you're paying for? We'll also follow it up with some income planning. How are we going to sustain that income the rest of our life? Offset taxation and inflation. And then we'll move into a little bit more advanced and tax-forward planning and estate planning and everything else necessary to give you that holistic picture that you need to create the confidence that you so well deserve in retirement. So pick up the phone right now, give us a call. What you should expect is a warm conversation with one of our all-star advisors. They're very good at what they do. They're not going to no pressure sales. They're just going to sit down, have a warm conversation, find out what matters to you and how they can help you alleviate those concerns. Let us get you set on track to retire right.
Paul, thank you so much. To the viewers at home, the phone lines are now open. That number to call is 228-388-2031. We know you have a lot of questions about how to retire comfortably, retire with confidence. Paul is offering you that opportunity today. Now, again, we have to take a very short commercial break, but don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to talk more about what's involved with a holistic retirement plan. Stay tuned.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan. This is a $999 value that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have, by running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go? And who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review today.
And welcome back to Retire Right TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Paul Roberts. He's president and CEO of Roberts Wealth Management. Paul, a great show we're having today, talking about a very important topic, choosing the right advisor, and also talking about a holistic retirement plan, if you will. We tapped in on how important it is with income planning for retirees. Let's talk about that a little bit further. Yeah. Why is that so important?
Because with everyone in the United States, everyone in the world, globally, needs income, right? You have certain bills and certain expenses that are never going to go away. You're always going to have to buy food, pay insurances, right? Buy gasoline.
Sure.
You're always going to have these expenses. And what we see, the people who, unfortunately, Cynthia, sometimes our job is not so fun because we have people come in who their retirement's already been decimated or devastated because they had lack of income planning. And they show up in our office and they say, well, you know, I retired with $1.2 million and thought I was good to go. Well, how's that working out? Well, I've got $300,000 and I'm only 70 years old and I plan on living another 15 years. Yeah. Oh, well, that is a problem. So unfortunately, we don't always get to be the bearer of good news. Sometimes we have to sit down and be realistic with people and say, well, yeah, it's too late.
Yeah,
Things have already been so damaged that there's no way for us to pick up the pieces and fix it. But 99% of the time that anyone comes in and we have to give them bad news about their previous financial decisions, it was all due to lack of income planning. If they had properly planned out how much income they need, where it's going to come from, how is it sustainable or predictable, what are the sources of investments that are going to provide that income, and how long that money will last, they wouldn't be sitting there in our office, and we wouldn't have that difficult conversation with them.
Yeah.
But so many folks today are planning, and this is any of our listeners out there, our viewers, what they really need to hear if they don't remember anything else we said in the show is never plan your future based off of average return.
Okay.
And we see it happen every day. They come in our office from their brokerage office, and we start talking to them about income planning. How are you going to, source the income the rest of your life and make sure it's sustainable? And they say, well, I just take withdrawals for my income. Okay, well, how much withdrawal? When? Where? You'd blow you away how often the answer is, well, I don't know, I just take money when I need it. Well, that's not a plan.
Exactly.
Right? And how do you know the future? But then even the ones who say, oh, I have an income plan, we said, well, tell me about it. So, well, my portfolio is averaging 7% return, and I'm only taking a 5% withdrawal, so my broker said my money should last forever.
Should. That's scary. Should.
That's that bad word that you don't want in retirement planning, right? No shoulds. We want to know.
We
right?
want will.
Yes, we want. I know where we're going and what's
With
happening.
confidence, yes.
And what people don't realize is average return is a very skewed statistic, and it's a very, very bad way to plan the future because average return doesn't tell you anything about the future.
Yeah.
The laws of averages doesn't compensate for negative numbers. So they'll say, hey, you're in a portfolio that has a 7% average return, but it's not a consistent 7 every year. Some years it's up 10, some years it's down 10, right? And they don't compensate for that volatility of the markets. And so therefore the average is a skewed statistic because it has negative numbers in there. If you had a negative year return in your portfolio, it's not shown in the average return. And that's complicated. It's very difficult to explain to people, but let me give you a quick, simple example. Let's say we have an example we show people in our educational workshops where you start off with $200,000 balance in your portfolio. Right?
Okay.
First year, market does great. It goes up 50%. So your 200,000 earns 100. It becomes 300.
Okay.
Right? Next year, portfolio doesn't do so good. Market goes down 50%. Well, now you lose 50% of 300,000. So you're back to 150.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Now the third year, the market comes back up 30%. You earn 30% on 150, not 30% on 300. Right?
Okay.
So you don't even get back to even. In the third year, your 200 you started with ends up at 195,000. So in our world, fiduciary world, we would tell you you have a negative yield of 2.5%, right? But the problem is too many people do their planning based off of average return. And if you look at the average return of it, I know I spit a lot out there, but let me simplify the math for them. We had a positive 50% year plus a negative 50% year gets us to what? 0.
Yep, absolutely.
Plus a 30% return year 3. So we're at 30. And if you divided that by 3 years, that portfolio has an average return of 10%.
10% only. Wow.
But it's never really made 10%. It has a real world yield of negative 2.5%.
Wow.
And too many people out there don't understand percentages and average returns and how they work. And then they plan their entire future based off of average return. And if you do that, you're really getting yourself in a bad position.
Sure.
So we have a lot of people come in and say, well, I'm averaging 7% return. I'm withdrawing a 5% withdrawal, so I should be fine. And we say, well, how's that working out for you? And they say, well, that's why I'm here. So it's not working.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you just looked at the surface of the planning, so we got to dig deeper into it if we want to do some real income planning for your future. So that's where it starts. We start with income planning.
Okay.
And then people say, all right, even if they do come in, every once in a while we meet someone who has an adequate income plan. They know they can sustain that income the rest of their life. And then we ask them, okay, well, what about the hyperinflation that we're seeing? What are you going to do when car prices go up 30% next year? Well, what are you doing when the price of all goods are increasing and we have too many dollars chasing too few of goods? That's going to diminish your income.
Sure.
Well, I've never thought about that. Well, when do you think is a good time to think about it?
Right.
Right? And then we get into taxes, like we had talked previously. If taxes go up and we're looking at significant tax hikes in the very near future, then how is that going to affect your income, right? So you have so much income, minus inflation, minus taxes, your standard of living changes a lot in the next 5 years if you do not plan for this inflation and taxation. And not
Drastically.
enough Americans are taking it serious and planning for income today.
Drastically. Well, Paul, we're going to go ahead and reopen up the phone lines. I want to let the viewers know what to do in just a moment, and then we'll come back and I want to talk more about taxes specifically, if that's
Great.
okay.
Great. Go for it.
To the viewers at home, the phone number to call is on your screen. That number is 228-388-2031. What Paul is offering you today to the first 10 callers is a very in-depth, comprehensive portfolio review with one of the all-star advisors. Make sure that you're currently on the right path for retirement. And if you're not, wouldn't you want to know today? Paul is giving you that opportunity to just take advantage of picking up the phone and calling 228-388-2031. We have to take a very short commercial break, but don't go anywhere. I'm going to talk to Paul a little bit more in depth about what future taxes could mean to your retirement plan when we return. Take care.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Welcome back to Retire Right TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Paul Roberts. He's president and CEO of Roberts Wealth Management. Paul, a wonderful show today talking about such important topics, but specifically is what I'm trying to say, taxes. That is such a hot topic right now because so many people are concerned across the board and they're wondering what kind of advice you may have for them.
And with due regard, it should be a hot topic right now, right? It should be the center point of focus and subject of all financial conversations and financial planning today. You know, we've been talking about tax planning for over a decade. A lot of our clients have very advanced tax forward planning, are really, really well positioned strategically for today. You know, over a decade ago, I saw the writing was on the wall for the baby boomer generation. And, you know, I think that's one of the things that our clients love about us is that we always have a macro view and a view from outside of the box of the financial world. And over a decade ago, I said, oh, it's going to happen. We're going to see super high taxes. And I'm not just talking about our national debt and deficit and all that. Yes, that plays into it significantly, and all the money printing we're doing, which we'll do some other shows on. But the writing was on the wall because the baby boomer generation was coming through. You know, the baby boomer generation is 1/3 of the entire U.S. population. Over 100 million of the 300 million Americans are baby boomers moving into retirement today. The majority of baby boomers saved their money in something. They came out with this great idea in 1980 called the pre-tax account, right? A qualified account, your 401k or your IRA.
Sure.
So the baby boomer generation accumulated the largest mass of wealth and the strongest economy that the entire world has ever seen. And most of them saved majority of those savings in pre-tax accounts. Well, the writing's been all over the wall. Do you really think that they're going to allow the baby boomer generation to retire and not going to come after them for taxation? Of course they're going to raise taxes on the baby boomer generation. That's how they're going to pay our debt in this country. That's how they're going to get us out of the place we're in right now.
Sure.
And so, you know, we've been screaming from the rooftops for over 10 years, hey, guys, you need to focus on taxes. But to give our viewers an understanding of why, you know, in our educational events and in our client intake process, we're always talking to people about understanding the difference between a maybe dollar and a sure thing dollar, right? A maybe dollar is if I want to make a dollar, I can take a dollar, I can invest that dollar in something, say a stock, real estate, a business, anything that I think will increase in value or produce income.
Sure.
Maybe it does. Maybe it goes up. Maybe it goes down. Right. A sure thing dollar is the way I personally plan my own finances, and it's the way we have taught our clients to plan their finances and what we do for them.
Okay.
Sure thing dollar means, well, no maybe here. How do I take a dollar and make a sure dollar? Well, if we can reduce the fees or commissions in your portfolio, we made you $1, right?
Sure.
It's the old principle that grandmother taught us, right? Grandma said, a dollar saved is what?
Dollar earned?
Right. She said a penny, right? But
Inflation. We have to.
inflation. The penny's pretty irrelevant
Yeah, let's
today, right?
factor
So we'll
that
go
in.
with $1. A dollar saved is a dollar earned.
Yeah.
Well, Grandma understood the fundamentals of sure thing financial planning. Okay, what's more important than chasing down this maybe dollar is locking down and making sure I'm not missing any of the sure thing dollars.
Sure.
How do we reduce the cost in our investments? How do we reduce the cost in our planning? If we save $1, we made $1. But most importantly, how do we save $1 to future taxes? We know
True.
taxes are going up. We know it's inevitable, right? We've talked at length on many shows, and I just gave them an explanation. The baby boomers are coming around. We're in high deficit. We're printing money like crazy. We have printed over 40% of the U.S. dollars in circulation have been printed in the last 24 months. That's insanity.
Yeah.
How are we going to pay for that? Taxation and inflation.
That's true.
Right? So higher taxes are coming our way. The question is your advisor talking to you about higher taxes? Are y'all taking the time to build some strategic tax forward plans and getting yourself ready to offset those future taxes?
Sure, sure. Well, Paul, we only have a minute and a half left of the show this week. I can't believe how fast our time goes together.
It does.
Any final nuggets of advice that you want to share with the viewers at home before we open the phone lines one final time?
I do. If you have not had a conversation with whoever you seek for financial advice about future inflation and future higher taxation, when do you think is a good time to start having that conversation? We have 3 to 4 years of the current tax bill left, and I promise you, it takes you longer than 3 to 4 years to create a good tax plan. So when do you think is a good time to get started?
Paul, I would say today. Today is the best day to get started. So again, I can't believe how fast our time goes when we're together, and we have so many topics to talk about in future weeks, and all of it will be based upon retiring with confidence. So thank you for another amazing show this week. To the viewers at home, most importantly, thank you for spending time with us again this week. That number to call is 228-388-2031. What Paul is offering you is an in-depth, comprehensive portfolio review. Let his all-star team take a look at where you currently are. Are you on the right path for retirement? If not, you should know that today. Again, all you have to do is pick up the phone and call 228-388-2031. Be safe, be happy, be blessed. We look forward to seeing you back here, same time, same location, 1 week from today.